I'm Orla Fagan. I work for a company called Tapadoo. We do mobile apps. We've been around since the original iPhone SDK has been released. And I'm just going to talk a bit about user experience today. So just as, just to lay the groundwork, what is user experience? As a user experience designer, it's my job to champion the user. So what does the user want? Whether your user are your customers, whether it's your staff, it's my job to champion their goals all the way through. If we were to do a deep dive on the subject, we'd cover all of these qualities of what a good user experience should have. Because today we're doing short presentations, I'm going to boil these down to one thing, which is the most valuable thing I think the relationship between your brand and your user can have, which is trust. Trust is the most important quality to have between your users and your brand. It's the easiest way to retain them, and obviously, if you don't have that trust, well, this all turns to negatives. So how do we get there? The first thing what happens can be we get a door slam when we go to use a digital product. This is often the first touch point someone has. And we've experienced, whether you know the term or not, maybe we download an app, we go to look at a service, and what it wants is it wants to use our data as currency to use that product. What I would recommend is for people to let them use the service, let them see the benefits, the features, and then if you need some data off them, ask them when you've already gained that trust, instead of asking for it upfront, because the friction this causes at the start of a process can be the first step to devaluing that relationship with your brand. Secondly, efficiency trumps engagement. This is true nearly every time, unless you're talking about a social network or a shopping platform. People's time is valuable. If you're designing a product, design it a product that people only ever use when they need it for the least amount of time. Let them come in, let them use it, let them get out. Don't waste their time. The second part, or the third part, is to think about designing your content. Last week at Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference, they spoke about this a little bit. And what they say is explain what you want to use people's data for, be specific, and provide an example. We've all had those experiences when we're using a product or a service and an alert pops up and says, can I have access to your camera, your Bluetooth, your location? And often the words they use confuse us and make us feel uncomfortable. So just be mindful about how you're putting that information out. If you're building towards that good user experience, that trust, be honest, be open, and only ever ask for it if you really, really need it. I'm just going to talk briefly about some common myths that we have in the user experience journey. If we build it, they will come. Very often we see that we put a lot of effort into building products, and we rely on when it's finished for it to go viral, and very often that doesn't happen. So my advice would be to do your core feature really, really well, put it out there, but to reserve some of your resources for marketing for when you launch. Often, when we get to that launch stage, there's nothing left to actually tell people what a great product you've built. It's a whole package. It's not just the product they have in their hand. Users should enjoy the experience. Well, of course they should, but not all experiences are enjoyable. I'm not going to enjoy paying my utility bills. I'm not going to enjoy renewing my car insurance. But what I can do is make it simple and frictionless. I can make it as easy as possible, and that's just as valuable as something being enjoyable. Good design lasts forever. That's true if you're talking about physical products, but in digital products, that's not really the case anymore. You need to put in a plan to maintain your digital products, to keep up the standards with devices that people have that cost a lot of money, to roll in with the development cycles from the iOS, Android, your browsers, whatever you're working in. It's your responsibility because your users will expect you to keep up those standards with your products. That's me. That was quick. Thanks very much. Come and talk to me outside. I'm just down the back, just outside the door. Thank you.